of all those people who may not know me personally, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Stan Serrao. I'm the chairman and managing director for Velocity Genetics and also Vignet. This way back in 2018. So today is the CCNG batch number 8. So we have done 7 batches very successfully. We have also completed the convocation ceremony of all the 7 batches students. We don't really want to go and make it like a huge number of students and then just deliver a Zoom meeting, a Zoom webinar. We don't want to do that. We just want to take around 20 students so that there will be interaction throughout the course and you will get that one-on-one attention. So of course, sometimes there are more than 20 students. So probably the biggest batch that we had was around 35, 36 people, but otherwise it's between 260 people till now. And they come from healers or wellness consultants. Now, before we really go on, look into the subject straight away, I want to give a little introduction about Velocity Genetics, in my personal background. So I've been in the wellness industry for quite long now. It's almost 17, 18 years, understanding the role of nutrition, understanding the role of nutritional supplements, and also a lot of lifestyle. So that has been a key area of interest, though I'm actually a science graduate, but biology was not my subject. My subject has been physics, chemistry, maths. But I think the very fact that, we all live life today quite differently than what our, parents or forefathers lived, invites a basic interest or curiosity by anybody to study as to how our lifestyle has drastically changed and how people today are victims of major lifestyle diseases. Today, unfortunately, people are not dying of diseases which are probably not curable, but diseases which can be easily addressed. There are medical solutions in our panel and in our advisory board. They would say that we get patients who are absolutely careless. They don't really care, irrespective of the advice that you give. So that's how we are into a kind of a trap that we're living in. So that interested me, and then I probably thought I think we need to do something on an individual basis. And I've been a part of wellness industry for a long time, doing a lot of scientific symposiums, training programs, workshop, and spreading word wherever possible. But in 2016, I got an opportunity to launch Velocity Genetics. The company name is Velocity Life Sciences Private Limited. We started that in 2016, and immediately when we started, the next week almost was the demonetization or the Notbandi. Now that was a blessing in disguise, contrary to the general popular belief, because it gave us an idea as to what we really wanted to do in Velocity Genetics, and then we actually streamlined. So there was a lot of background work, due diligence that we did effective November till around almost March, April. And in the month of May, 3rd of May 2017, we commercially rolled out Velocity Genetics. So you must have watched the introductory video. So what do we do in the in Velocity is educate people as to why genetics is now important, why understanding the human body from a scientific perspective today is important. So that's what we tried to do. And then we conducted a huge training programs and spent literally a few crores of rupees to organize various kinds of events. So there were scientific symposiums, residential workshops. There have been a lot of, one-day seminars, full-day workshops, etc. And that happened across India. We have conducted residential workshop in Hyderabad, in Delhi, in Lucknow, and majority of them in Mumbai. But along with Velocity Genetics and, testing people for various health conditions that they're currently facing, and also what are the risk factors they carry for future. That's essentially part of the predictive healthcare. So we did sequence nearly around 11,000 people till date, and that includes a lot of VIP patrons. I'll probably play a video a little later to give you an idea as to what kind of quality work that we have done, and people have appreciated across all segments of the society. So now that, coming from a little academic background, and I had my background in journalism, so I have a little tendency to get into a little detail. And I thought probably understanding genetics and presenting to people who would like to really understand whether you're and a lifestyle coach, I think all of us fundamentally want the relief to that patient or the customer, saying that he should be getting the desired result. So that's where Wignet was conceptualized. Though, of course, it was conceptualized in the year 2018 itself or 17 itself. We had a website for it, but we did not really roll out any activities there. Though all the training programs were happening in the banner of Wignet. But the lockdown came as a surprise, or it came as a blessing in disguise. And we were confined to our homes, and that's where we started, rolling out our plans. So one of the things that we do in Wignet is to offer a 2 months online course, which we name it as certificate course in nutrigenomics. In other words, how nutrition impacts our genetics, which is called nutrigenomics, and how our genes are influenced by the food that we eat, which is called nutrigenetics. So nutrigenomics is slightly different than what is nutrigenetics. So we try to distinguish that in this class today, and then we'll also try to, give you a little background. So now, in this batch, we have around 20 plus students. Unfortunately, my support staff had to leave to a village because she lost her grandfather. So I'm yet to coordinate a little bit. I've been extensively traveling across India. So what we have today is a little bit of introduction in this class. So this is and then I'll introduce the faculty for today, and then we will straight away get into the subject. So what I want to do is I'll attach my screen and then give you a little guidance as to how. So yes, so this is the website, the main website of Velocity Genetics. So you can simply type velocitygenetics.com and you will get this website. Now, this website, of course, you can actually explore, and you can see who is the Velocity Genetics team here. So I, in the capacity of chairman and managing director, spearhead all the operations of this company. But along with me, the technical support or the technology is provided by my partner and my friend, Mr. Milind Doshi, who is a chief product officer. Along with that, to spread the genomic wellness awareness and to sell our products, we have vice presidents. See, Dr. Usha Nair is a vice president for Corporate Alliance. We have Mr. Rohit Shah, who is a vice president for North Zone. We have 6 zones that we have divided India into. So Mr. Vinod Kumar Mohapatra is here present today. He is handling our East Zone. We have Geet Bartakur, who is handling our Northeast Zone. We have Vaibhav Singh, who is handling our Central Zone at the capacity of being a vice president. And we have Mr. Melvin Crasto looking after the West Zone. And we have Mr. Lakshmanan, who is a South Zone head. And of course, we have our statutory chartered accountants, our company secretary and legal advisor as well. So that constitutes our management. And along with that, we have genetic counselors. Now, genetic counselors essentially look into the reports or the solution part of it. So we have Arnavas Kolla. You can read their profile in detail once the class is done. So she is a double PhD in genetics, qualified from Virginia Commonwealth University. We have Dr. Radhika Wagle. We have Neha Bhojani, and we have our own, nutritional, nutrigenomic wellness consultants and counselors and nutritionists. All of them are postgraduates. So we have Reena Baliga, who will be speaking to you in some time. We have Lavina Cardoza. We have Riddhi Shah. She'll be taking the classes as well. We have Reya Doshi. We have Richa Limaye. We have Prasanthi Suryanarayana. So they do it in various languages. Prasanthi ma'am will do it in Telugu. Richa Limaye will be in Tamil. We have Reya and Riddhi talking in Hindi, English, and Gujarati. We have Kirtana, who is here today as well. So she will communicate to her clients, explaining about the genetics report in Tamil. And we also have Sukriti Gimire from Kathmandu, Nepal. So she'll be speaking in Nepali to their clients as well. So Dr. Nikhil Baljekar, who is essentially a urologist, but does much more than that because of his interest. And then he reads a lot of scientific papers and goes beyond his mandate of academic qualification. We have Mr. KTR Satyaprakash, who's right now working at the Global Hospital at Hyderabad, we also have Dr. Daryl DeMello, worked extensively in the US for almost 25 years, and he's now settled in Mumbai, so he's in our panel. We have Dr. Girish Pal Kalli, he's from Delhi. He's an anesthetist and a very, very keen genomic wellness promoter, being a medical doctor. We have Dr. Sumita Prajapati, essentially from Mumbai, but now she's in Boston, USA, and she's an Ayurveda expert. We have Professor Dr. Mahendra Sawant, 3 times PhD. He is a diabetologist, very known in Mumbai, and always at the forefront of any academic symposiums. We have Dr. Kedar Tambe, closely works with Symbiosis University and Hospital in Pune. And apart from that, we also have Dr. Ravi Vairagade and Dr. Kishore Shah. Dr. Kishore Shah is from Mumbai, and Dr. Ravi Vairagade is from Nagpur. So they're all well qualified, and they've been always not only attending our own classes, but they also will be giving a lot of lectures whenever there is a requirement. So now this is a website. Of course, you can go through, there's a lot of content, but the website that matters to you is here. This is a small icon called Vignet. So you can either click this, or you can straight away go to myvignet.com. Okay. So now here, this is the poster that 2022 batch, that's batch number 8, opportunity for you that you can enroll them. And after that, we'll be starting the next batch possibly in the month of July. So that will be, and what have they garnered, what knowledge they have. So there are many of them who are given their feedback, and I'll also invite you to give your feedback once the batch is over. So now what we need to do is, I just want to ask all of you, and then you can confirm to me using the chat box. Have you been able to get your user ID and password? Kya aapko, so she'll send it to you. Okay. Password. How many of you have already, logged in? If it is, you're already logged in, just say me, M. I don't really go in detail. Okay, many of you, most of you, whoever has got the username password, you have actually been able to. So in this dashboard, you'll also see a student name. Now, each chapter, whenever you complete, your grid will process, or then it will be 100% complete. So here is the student, here it is CCNG B, complete 25 chapters, it will say 50%. And if you complete all that 50 chapters, it will be 100%. English. क्या आपको English समझने में तकलीफ हो रही है? Because this is a little technical topic, technical subject. So anybody having an issue with the English, you can communicate to us. This tough chapter is the first chapter, big thing that you want to click. So it's all, the onus is on yours. Okay, above 90, I'll give you a associate that what we have done is fantastic. Okay, so this is the predict, not predictive, not genetic testing, the preventive, the blood test. The number of blood tests or the cardiac tests were done in Bengaluru and some cities. The OPD department looked like a fish market. If it could accommodate 200 people, there were like 800 people wanting to do tests. See, people wake up only during emergencies. Okay, and when something hits them really hard. Otherwise, we have a very, very casual approach saying that jo hoga, dekha jayega. We'll see when it comes to it. Okay, so you'll understand this. Now, what we are talking about is, Kalpana ma'am, just to make it very clear, we are talking about nutrigenomics. Nutrigenomics revolves around nutrition, exercise, and also lifestyle. Okay, so this is a non-prescriptive department. Now, there is no laws that have been created in India, neither for clinical or medical, nor nutrigenomics or wellness tests. But we believe it's a fundamental right of everybody to understand their own self in whatever way possible and to live a better, healthier, and a longer life. So there are no restrictions right now. So you can work as a nutrigenomic consultant, and there are many of them practicing already. We can, yeah, Divya ma'am, can we know the test? Of course, that also you'll understand during the course. Velocity does around 210 phenotypes. We have avoided phenotypes for cancer because we would like to classify that into clinical, because that's a life and death situation. So we don't want to tell people by saying that looking at the diet, you probably will be able to, address it. We don't want to stretch there. But of course, we have a lot of cancer patients doing the test with us, and you will understand all this in the right perspective. So cancer is growing very, very fast. And unfortunately, people don't get symptoms. I get a lot of patients in our office who come and then tell me, ask us saying that, tell us, how long I can live. And then I suddenly ask them, what happened? And then they say, I've been detected with cancer stage number 3 or 4, etc. That's quite unfortunate. So that is where India needs a lot of certified genomic wellness consultants to alert people by saying that don't live casually. Live with an awareness about your own body, because, I often ask people in all my seminars, what's very important? A very stupid fundamental questions. What's more important, health or wealth? So obviously people go for very diplomatic answers like, no, health also is important, wealth also is important. Then I say, look, both are important. Tell me which is more important. And then people tend to sometimes answer saying wealth is more important, because they say that if you get money, we can treat ourselves. And then I say, look, I'll give you a situation where I am a magical doctor, and then you got a terminal illness, and then you got 3 months to live. Okay. And then you are admitted in an ICU. You got just 3 months to live. Now, but I'm a magical doctor. We call it the opposite of Yama. Yama takes away the life, but then I give life. So I give him saying that, look, you got 3 months. I'll give you 100 crores of rupees. That's option number 1. But the other option is I'll give you 10 years of more life. Which one would you like to take? Based on the importance you can take. If you think 100 crores is important to you, wealth is important to you, enjoy that in the next 3 months. Take a jet world tour, but you'll be sick. Okay. So then people realize saying that, okay, health is important. But friends, that's still theory. People still feel that wealth is important, because they say, if you have money, you'll have everything. Not so, unfortunately, because if that was the case, all our businessmen, right from Steve Jobs to Dhirubhai Ambani, probably would have got so much of doctors. Not forget doctors. They would have purchased the hospitals and ensured that they lived longer. Unfortunately, it's not possible. All it was done. I mean, the whole hospital was like a fortress with so much of a security. And she not only almost purchased Apollo Hospital, she probably got the best of doctors from across the world, but they could not solve, because the human body is a very, very complex mechanism. If you don't really understand this, it's like I giving you an AK-47 and then say, okay, go and enjoy it. The chances are that you'll kill yourself, because you probably might misuse it. So friends, with that introduction, I'd like to now introduce you to our faculty. Today, she'll be taking the class. She is none other than Reena Baliga. Reena Baliga is not only a certified nutrigenomic counselor, but she also is somebody who has been instrumental in curating this course. There have been others, but she also gave it a final shape, and she's been successfully, enlightening people. You can read her profile on our website. Reena, warm welcome to you. The screen is yours.
Good morning, Stanza. Thank you so much. Good morning to everyone.
Be a little louder.
Yeah, before we begin with the course, I just would like to ask one question. So how many of you, because I see a lot of people from medical fraternity and medical practitioners here as well. So can we have, Stanza, I think we can have a little introduction.
Yes, please go ahead.
That will help me understand, how I can.
Yeah, begin. I think what we'll do, Reena, is that, before you start, probably we'll ask people to quickly unmute and then introduce themselves. Whoever wants.
From Delhi, and I work for a corporate, but going to get relieved in the next 3 months. because that is when I'm going to retire. I've been doing a lot of study about nutrition for almost like 3 years now. And I was referred by Commander Prakash Tanwani for this nutrigenomics course. And I've just gone through the initial 9 chapters in the last 1 week. And that has opened my brain like anything. There are so many things. And now I realize that how complex is our body and how important.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Divya Sanglikar, and basically, I'm a nutritionist, dietitian by profession. I have also done certification in sports nutrition, and it's been 15 years I'm working in this field, majorly working in preventing lifestyle disease, nutrigenomics, and this is already mind-blowing. I have
basically by training, I'm an engineer MBA, but I'm working in the field of nutrition for the past 15 years.
Wow.
I've been working in the field of nutrition supplements and throughout India, and I've been getting quite good response for my nutrition supplement business. One of my friends, Rahul Chauhan, he did this course. I think he was in the first batch.
And that's exactly what people need to be doing. So I think you're a blessing to a lot of people. So thank you, Abhijit. And who would like to introduce? Please come on, introduce. So we'd like to know.
Ashok from Delhi, and I have been into telecom, power and security industry, energy healer. Thank you.
Fantastic. So as a business head, warm welcome.
You are one of the one day seminar in Delhi, no?
Oh, okay. So introduce yourself.
Knowledge about the same is very less with me. I was referred to your amazing course by Commander Prakash Tanwani.
Fantastic.
And that was wonderful because today's presentation and the course structure, all of it seems great. I'm placed in Pune as of now and looking forward to knowing more about this.
Thank you so much. I think, just for your knowledge and for everybody else, let me take the lighteners and the students who passed on. So there's a lot of
genetic team. So they just told me about this course. So I just joined it.
Good. Thank you so much. We're quite happy with Apollo Hospital, and one of the doctors works there, is there also as one of the medical. Mr. Lino, who would like to introduce? Just unmute.
My course by Commander Prakash Talmani. He said this would be something interesting for you. So I said,
child, so they did internship with us, few of them. So that your name and
good morning to all. I'm Revati from Madurai. I'm a teacher. I'm interested in getting knowledge about healthcare and very much interested in alternative healthcare therapies. That's why I want to know about this nutrigenomics.
Thank you, Revati ma'am. Just I met Revati ma'am a couple of times in Madurai. I met her just last week. I was in Madurai, and she came down to Chennai as well. So she has a group of around 9,000 alternative healers, and none of them know about nutrigenomics right now. They're doing a lot of alternative therapies, and they're doing a fantastic work. And I'm sure a new world will open up to them when they understand nutrigenomics. And maybe my assumption is that the therapies that they're giving now will be more effective with the background of genetics. So that's what my call is. Okay, who else? Malini Datta. Sorry. Okay, yeah, Maria ma'am next.
Just more about it, because now it's a 3Ps which is more important. Right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Warm Vice President for Northeast. So thank you so much to him.
Yes, I'll do that once.
Yeah. If you're uncomfortable, don't do it. Yeah, okay. We don't teach students whom you don't.
Great personality, and I didn't know who I was talking to actually at that time. So when I got to know about this course being offered by Vignet, I was very much overjoyed, because I've been associating with the wellness industry for a few years now, and always looking forward to get this in a professional way in the wellness industry. Looking forward to learning and
this course. Okay, so clarity of mind is I would want everybody to be known to the management, to the faculty, academic stuff, research stuff, a lot of scientific stuff. And let me tell you, there will be a lot of statements that will be made which are disruptive. There are India. So we got to जो बीमारी पहले आने दो देखा जाएगा, you know, we will see when it comes through, and people are willing to wear a helmet after they met with an accident. That's the mindset. Okay, so we got to change this mindset, and we need to. I know the kind of effort that we have done in the last 5 years. This is our 6th year. So people listen to it and then they get back to their own comfort zone, because in the comfort zone, there's no stretch that you need to do. There's no effort that you need to do. To remain fit, you got to be stretching. You can't go to the gym and sleep there and then say, no, I've been going to the gym every day. You have to stretch yourself. You got to put tokens anytime. You can use the chat box, Reena, chapter number 1. So, Reena, your bandwidth says it's a little low, shows the red.
Okay. I'll just do something about
Put your
it.
video off and share the screen.
Yeah, I'll do that. So is it visible?
Yeah, it is. Just increase the page size.
Yeah, I'll do that. So now, before I begin, before I begin this, there's just a few things that I'd like to, just introduce you, give you a brief introduction when it comes to genomics. See, now all of us are here, it was really lovely.
Reena, you're breaking.
Reena,
you're breaking.
I'm breaking. There is a slight network issue over here today. I'll just fix that a bit. Okay, Stanza, can you just talk for a minute or so? Let me
Yes. Okay, so probably Reena will change her. They'll be delivering the convocation address. We call it so. We had Professor Kavita Menon from Symbiosis University who had come. We also had Professor of nutrigenomic or nutrition from Manipal University who had come and delivered the address. Okay, so Abhijit, what's your question?
Yeah, Stanza, I just wanted to ask as to what options do we have to practice this nutrigenomics knowledge after we get out of
Wonderful question. I think that's a question I'd expected. Nobody has asked. Now you asked it. 4 options, I would say. First, for the value of the money that you're paid and for the value that you're getting out of this course, take care of your personal health. Okay, you go for a consultation, you pay what? You ask doctors, they'll take at least 1,000, 1,200, 1,200. This is like 8 consultations that you have of 2 hours. Okay, just put 1,000 rupees for each consultation. Your value for money, your money paisa vasool. Okay. Second, just imagine you go for a graphic designing course or some animation course or something else. You can't share that with your family members. This course is something that you can discuss on the kitchen and your dining table. You can tell your spouse, your children, saying that why you need to be eating slightly different food. The kind of oil that you're using, the kind of junk food that we are eating, the summer season, aerated drinks, how they're dangerous. Maybe you're consuming a lot of milk. Is it really required or no? You'll have a wonderful discussion in your family. That's the second advantage. And slowly and steadily, you probably will be able to change your food habits, which will save you not only money, but give you good health. That's the second benefit. Third, if you're already coming from nutritional background, which you said you are, you can now tell people saying that, look, I'm giving you a nutritional advice. I'll give you a lot of supplements or lifestyle changes, but that I was doing with my, with the blind, what do you call it? Blindfolded. But now I take your sample, get you a scientific report, and now your prescription probably might drastically change. I'll give you a small example. Let's assume that I'm a gluten intolerant guy. Gluten means the protein that's there in wheat and barley and rye. Now you get me as a customer and you're fantastic with your knowledge, experience and everything. So you say, Stan, you're a little overweight. I want to reduce your protein, calorie intake every day, and give me a good diet of say around 2000 calorie every day, which is balanced. But then you add a lot of wheat and rotis or something like that. Now I'm gluten intolerant, that you don't know, because I'm not aware of what is gluten intolerance. Neither have done any genetic test. Now there are no blood tests that will determine what's a gluten intolerance, unfortunately. Okay, and nobody considers that as a disease yet. It's a kind of a lifestyle situation. So you would give me, so in fact, if I'm also a diabetic, you're actually ensuring that my diabetic sugar level is intact. So you don't help me cure or help me relieve. You actually ensure that my sugar levels are always up, because on one hand I may be taking insulin or any tablets, but at the same time also taking a trigger through gluten. So when you do my genetic test, now you'll also end up giving the same calories, but the food ingredients will drastically change. So you can practice as a nutrigenomic wellness consultant. Okay, and you can add this title. We'll give you a beautiful certificate. So you can add it as certified genomic wellness consultant. Okay, so you are not only a nutritionist and a geneticist, but now you are a certified genomic wellness consultant. And fourth, of course, you can also get employed in some other places. There are a few institutes or some hospitals where they not only employ sports nutritionists or clinical nutritionists, but they also employ now nutrigenomic counselors. So these are the career scope that we have. Do I answer your question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right. Okay, I will extend once again. To what extent genetic test is different than blood test?
I'll just explain that.
As a health report. Yeah, now you're clear.
Yeah, I'll just explain that first.
Yes, please do that.
Okay, so I'm really sorry, I'm back. I hope I'm audible right now and it's clearer.
Are you sorry for being back, or are you sorry for taking?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the interruption, but I'm glad that I'm back now. So Divya ma'am, this is a very good question, and usually this is something that we even explain at the start of explaining the report as well, because there's a huge distinction between a blood test and a genetic test. Now, blood test is nothing but your blood parameters, right? You get your your diabetes check, or your thyroid levels, or your blood sugar levels, etc. So all of these parameters are subject to change, right? Because they are your blood parameters that can change over a period of time due to various other situations, whether it's your diet or it's your lifestyle, your stress triggers, etc. But when it comes to your genes are something that you're born with. Right from conception till death, our genes don't change as far as the sequence goes. They're going to remain the same, right? So which is why your blood tests are done at a certain interval, maybe 6 months to a year, right? But when it comes to your genetic test, since the sequence does not change, it is just done once in your lifetime, which means if you carry a risk right now, let me just give you an example. If you carry a gene that says you are at a risk of diabetes, even after 5 to 10 years, you may not get diabetes for that matter, because the factors that influence it are majorly in your hand, whether it's your diet, lifestyle. I'm going to explain all of this when it comes to the epigenetics, role of epigenetics. But since these factors are in your hand, you're not like, you get your genetic test done today and say, oh, I have a risk of diabetes, which means if I can prevent this, if I get my genetic test done again after 8 years, will this show that I don't have a risk? It's not that, because you will carry the risk regardless, because this is what has been passed down through generations. If you do show, let's say, high cholesterol levels today, and if you take care of your diet, your everything, lifestyle, etc., you can still make sure that your cholesterol levels go down. So your parameters can be up and down. Similarly, your genetics is something that will not change throughout your life. If you get a genetic test, it does not mean that you don't have to do a blood test. You will have to get certain blood tests done throughout your life in order to make sure that whatever you're doing is actually aligning with your are we here for. When I talk about nutrigenomics, it is a very important subject, and it is a very with the common goal of understanding this wonderful subject of nutrigenomics. Now, when I started off, I was a clinical dietitian initially, but then later on, traditionally what we do in nutrition, and I'm sure my fellow nutritionists here will agree, we usually take into consideration the medical issues, their BMR, we calculate their requirement in the day, right, their physical activity. But there is one thing that we always leave out when it comes to, the predictive aspect of it. Now, a person may not know that they are lactose intolerant unless they get a genetic report done. It depends on when the gene is expressed in your life. Now, as a nutritionist, if I have somebody's genetic report and I know that this person is about to, at some point, end up with lactose intolerance or gluten intolerance, because these are the things that are latent inside your body, which unless they are expressed, you will never know you have it. Just like an example that, Stanza gave of Angelina Jolie. Now, she did not have breast cancer, but she decided to act on it because she knows at some point there is a possibility that that gene would get expressed. Similarly, for a nutritionist, it is a very valuable tool in order to streamline someone's diet, where there is no trial and error, right? And for a person who gets their own genetic test done, like I said, it's a GPS of your life, because nutrigenomics that you all have come here to study is nothing but an amalgamation of your nutrition and genetics, which means how your nutrition can change on the basis of the genes that you carry, and conversely, how your genes can dictate the absorption, the metabolism of certain nutrients, food components, and all of this, when you actually act on it, you can change your life in a way that you can achieve optimal health. Okay, so that being said, we'll start with genetics. This is the first section. Why we need to understand genetics is because it's a technical subject. Yes, I agree, but you will need to understand some basics of it before we genetics in a way, even addictions, like Stanza just mentioned, you have the way you take decisions, feeling apprehensive about things, all of this is in your genetics itself. But whether or not it's expressed, that only you can say once you get a genetic test done, if you get it done. So now I'll just share my screen. If you all do not hear me any time in between, please do let me know so that I can readjust myself. Okay. All of us, in childhood, we usually used to see these the forensic files and stuff like that, because usi mein sabse zyada, DNA all the time they would talk about DNA. Now, how exactly that's all being seen to one person in license that is absolutely individual genes. Now, how you feel? Yes, absolutely. I think some of you have already started reading the course material. So I think this is only the first batch, I would say, amongst all the previous batches where I've seen there are, you all have already started with the course itself before I even begin, which is brilliant. Honestly, I have no complaints. So it is true, we are different from one another by just 0.1%. What does that say? Now, that 0.1% is going to account for so many, mainly what we see from the physical characteristics. Of course, that also accounts for your genetics, right? Your DNA is like the instruction manual of your body. So everything about you is written in this manual. Just like any machine has a manual, so similarly, this is your operating manual. So everything is contained in that. So similarly, it's not just about your height, your ear shape, the color of your molecule. Okay, does anyone know where does your DNA lie? Where is your DNA inside your cell? Where does it lie actually? Your DNA is a long molecule, so there are sections of it. Matlab ek lamba sa molecule the genes play in your body. Okay, so evolution, or what I'd like to say, how we have evolved as human beings of our species, and not just that, how will that benefit our future generations? Genesis, which means generative. Studying about plants, brilliant. Yes, it is tenure, of him studying about heredity. And giving theories about human genetics, first chapter. Let's just see what are the important see a character, outside, when we look at someone, when we see the character of a body, this person has these beings as well. But usually we define a person as tall or short, right? But the best way he had, identified them and gave letters to them that identified it as a tall or a dwarf generation. Okay. How did he identify them? What were the letters he gave? We will just see that. Right now, you need to remember, believe me if I tell you, the deoxyribonucleic acid. It is because of the structure. Okay. Not exactly a message important for your system. When we talk about alleles or allelomorphs, now it's not dwarf as S or D. He always showed the recessive trait as the smaller case alphabet for the capital one. Study population variation, right? Different populations, communities, right? We are talking about variations that could happen at every stage. And that also helps the scientists and us understand about mutations. Mutations, although is a very fantasy kind of a word, when we talk about mutations, we think about Spider-Man and all of those X-Men things, but it does not happen. Mutations in human beings is very rare, and even if it does happen. What is mutation? We will come back to that later. Okay, but I'm just giving you a brief overview of what all we are going to go through in genetics. Now, DNA, which we talk, is like, the hero of how it looks like an X. We've always observed, Hamesha, even on TV or, any where it's represented as DNA chromosomes. Now, I will stand corrected because it's not all of your cells. There is one cell in your body that does not contain 46 chromosomes. And why do we have 46 chromosomes? When we talk about heredity, hame parents se aata hai, right? It's one cell of your body. Can someone guess which cell of your body will not have 23 pairs? Sumit sir, you finished 9 if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Okay, so you are absolutely correct. So 46. The child is okay. So now your genome is 46 chromosomes. That is in your cell, it contains a genome, that is your genetic material, of 46 chromosomes. Chromosomes, this Y. Is this a male or a female? Is this a male or a female? Can anyone guess? XY is male or female? Male. So Y chromosome सिर्फ males के पास होता है. It is, okay, it's correct. So it is male. Female is X. Now, history of genetics, it started with, when you go on, you all can go check this awarded to women. Okay, now editment, you are editing something out, or you are, making sure that you are canceling something and rewriting. So what is gene editing is people who have diseases or something that can be edited out, that done given. And then the last part you will study about is the Human Genome Project. Now, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to play the video. So I can go through it, and I'll give you a little briefing at the end of this video to talk or to cover what exactly the Human Genome Project was about. But like the word suggests, what do you think the Human Genome Project is? When we talk about genetics, itna kuch hai study karne ke liye, right? Your genome contains of 25 to 30,000 genes per molecule of DNA. So your body has so many genes, and what do they do? How will they help? And scientists were cracking their brains to understand how do we study the entire genome of human beings to understand how we can progress as a species. So that's why they came up with this project called Human Genome Project. Now it began in 1990, and it was led forefront by the US government. Now, it was not possible for just the US to take care of everything. So there were a lot of other technologically advanced countries, but dividedly. They didn't do the same thing repeatedly because it was a lot when they said the Human Genome Project was complete and all the genes had been sequenced, there was one small part of the human genome that was still not sequenced, which was known as the centromere. Now, centromere, as of 2021, it has been sequenced. In the next session that we have, I will play that video for you. It is very interesting. So as of 2021, all of your human genome has been sequenced. Okay, so I'll play this video for you. You'll see how inspiring it is. 1 second.
In 1989, a group of scientists was assembled to decode the human genome under the direction of Dr. James Watson.
One of Watson's big motivations here was to try to recruit the best and brightest from many different disciplines, biology, but also physics, chemistry, engineering, because all of those would have to get together if this was going to work.
Many of the biologists, and I love them dearly, of course, were dragged into it kicking or screaming in the beginning because they failed to see the tremendous value that such an enterprise would provide the field.
The talent turned out to be all over the world, so you have to basically make it possible for those bright minds to get engaged where they are. They're not going to all move to join this effort.
Genomics has fundamentally changed the way we do science. It brought the notion of team science and collaboration to biology.
Curious thing about collaboration, it's also intensely competitive. Each person wants to achieve something personal. You know, they want to make their hit, on the problem, but then immediately they want to share it with the other, and the other learns immediately. And so you ratchet each other up.
From the beginning of the Genome Project, there was a fairly strong sense of enthusiasm in the public sector, the private, and academia.
We had lots of support from Republicans, partly because Newt Gingrich was interested in science, and I knew it. There's no partisan difference in everybody wanting to live as long as they can.
When the Human Genome Project was started, it's important to note the technology of sequencing was not developed yet. So it's, in a sense, a project that was launched with a wing and a prayer.
We couldn't sequence it at that time. The machines were nothing like fast enough.
They just hadn't been invented yet.
It'd be a 100-year project like monks working to copy a book at best.
Bit by bit, we got into more and more large-scale sequencing. But the sequencing is enormously important because it provides the possibility of searching by computer.
Genomes were supposed to be too complex to be able to
code. It just happens to use 4 digits instead of 2.
The Genome Project was about sharing data almost immediately.
You're going to share code. You're going to share everything by publishing, but you're going to share it before publishing. You're going to share half-cooked ideas. And in fact, this is a wonderful thing. It's liberating.
It would have been virtual.
Occurs.
Patients invest a certain degree of fear about genetics. Who's going to find this out? How will it be used against me?
A lot of the ethical and social considerations that we're struggling with today really have historical roots in the early 1900s in the United States, where we had many states that had laws that allowed us to forcibly sterilize people and prevent them from having children based on whether we as a society felt that they were genetically fit.
So at the beginning of the Human Genome Project, we got it right of bringing in the social science of scientists that are focused.
The sequencing of the human genome was a mark for what makes up the human genome. It's an incredibly exciting moment. At the same time, it's just the beginning of what's really a much longer voyage.
And let's again be hypertension, diabetes, and Alzheimer's disease. Use genomic information as part of routine medical care, and that'll be applied to dealing with diseases like cancer, hypertension, diabetes, and Alzheimer's disease.
I dream of the day. This is the way you should prepare this child's health care. It's exhilarating.
Let me just share the screen again. Okay. So this was summing up the Human Genome Project. But now, what do you understand? What is the takeaway message from this? Even though we could predict diseases before they even happen. So today, you're sitting at home, you're giving your saliva sample, it's going to a lab, and it's where, you know, you end up with symptoms, and you are at the doctor trying to understand how to change, you know, how to start with your treatment. But people aware of understanding human disease, personalized medicine, and pharmacogenetics. We will study what pharmacogenetics is, right? Greater insight into cognitive function, insight into human origins, and identifying, most importantly, the genetic susceptibility to diseases, right? So this is what you can go through it.
It also was complementary to what we are discussing. So dosto, we are now coming to the end of the online class number 1. Today, as you know, was the introduction and of course the first chapter. And as I told you, the first chapter is the lengthy one, tough one. Thoda aisa lagta hai ki, I mean, it's all French and Spanish. हम लोग normal बात करते हैं, but then, you know, these are all like, you know, bouncer जा रहा है. But just, you know, don't resist, be with it, persist with it. You will understand that all these terminologies we'll be using throughout the course. So here are my instructions at the end. If you have any one of your known people who you think should be there in this class, today is the last day. You have the bank account details. You also have the support staff number. Of course, I'm not too sure how she'll be available because I'm trying to trace her. She's unavailable because of some emergency at home or a grandfather's invocation. So Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 3 days. By Monday, we'll answer the questions. I will be progressing, I'll be tracking your progress at the periodically send you your progress. So with this, we close.